There have been a lot of new drugstore launches lately, and today I'm gonna tell you which ones are worth it and which ones I think you should skip. I shared a Get Ready With Me testing a lot of these for the first time pretty recently, so I can leave that link down below if you wanna see that first impression process. But I'm thinking, let's start with the new e.l.f. products, okay? I feel like these have been getting a ton of buzz. And I guess we have to start with the most viral one of them all, their attempt at duping Rare Beauty. So this is the e.l.f. Liquid Camo Blush. I have mine in the shade Peach Perfect. Now I do have this on my cheeks today, but it's kind of deceiving because I have a lot of things going on my cheeks. I also have a powder blush over top, but this blush I actually do like quite a bit. And I will say it's incredibly similar to the Rare Beauty blush formula. That being said, it leans more on the glowy, dewy side than Rare Beauty. And because of that, I find the longevity isn't there with this the same way I get with the Rare Beauty blushes, you know? So that is a bit of a trade-off. It's definitely more inexpensive, but I don't think it has the same longevity there because it's a bit more dewy and balmy on the skin versus like fully setting down. Now, the Rare Beauty blushes actually come in two different finishes. One formulation is a bit more matte and one has a bit more glow to it. This only comes in one finish and it's just glowy. That being said, I think the blend on this is relatively easy. I find that I can apply it directly to my cheeks and then take my sponge and tap it out and not run into any patchiness, not run into any funky things happening with my foundation, which honestly is rare, even for like liquid high-end blushes. It's challenging to find a formula that doesn't disrupt the other products beneath it if you're applying it directly to the skin. But I find this formula very user-friendly, very easy to work with. What I actually did today was mix this in with a liquid highlight to get somewhat of a glowy cheek, and then I put a powder blush over top. So again, you're not fully seeing this showcased in its like true potential, but that being said, I think this formula plays really well with others if you are also a fan of mixing things together. I mixed this with a liquid illuminator from Jones Road to get somewhat of the glowy cheek. So this, if you see a shade you like, I would definitely recommend it. This one, being the lightest shade, I found it to be like a nice level of pigment. I can do a couple dots and be fine, but I have heard that the deeper shades are super duper pigmented, similar to the level of the Rare Beauty blushes. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll tell you what, the most underrated new e.l.f. launch is this mascara right here. Holy moly, this is good. This is the Xtndr Mascara. And just to say, like right off the bat, looking at the table of products in front of me, you know, I guess we're gonna spoil the video. I'll tell you right now, my number one recommendation, if you're like, I just need to buy one thing, what's the one singular purchase you would recommend? It would be this. This mascara is incredible if you like separation and length and tubing. Yes, this is a tubing mascara and they nailed it because let me tell you, a lot of like recent tubing mascaras don't really contain that tubing property. You know, they're not coming off in the literal tubes that you're expecting. I ran into that with Tarte's tubing mascara and even a lot of high-end formulas, like they do somewhat form the tubes, but they kind of come off in like clumps and like small sections. This removes the exact way you would expect if you're like a tubing mascara lover. Also, I purchased the brown shade and I will say I want to go back on what I said in the initial video. When I reviewed this, well, not reviewed it really, when I gave my first impression in my last video, I was like, oh, I don't think this brown looks that brown. And when I was watching the footage back while I'm editing the video, I'm like, Kelly, what are you talking about? It's a great shade of brown. And even my comments were like, no girl, it looks like a nice brown. And the days wearing it since then, I would describe this as a beautiful chocolatey brown. You know, if you're a brown mascara lover, you know that sometimes brown mascaras can just pull black. You don't necessarily see that pigment on the lashes, but I think this is a great brown. Holds curl very well, no smudging, no budging. Like, you know how much I loved the Lash and Roll mascara? That was one of my favorites of 2023. I think I like this more. I think I like this more than Lash and Roll. And I was nervous at first because in the video I was like, oh, it looks a little clumpy. I really haven't run into that since then. I think the comb is great for like working through the lashes. It's a good one and it's only $7. This next e.l.f. product is probably my next recommendation, okay? If we're ranking these, this is number 1. These are number 2. So I'm talking about the new e.l.f. Cream Glide Lip Liners. Let's start with the price point. $2. Yes, $2, which I believe makes these the most inexpensive lip liners at the drugstore. Even a lot of my other favorites that are rather affordable are around the $4 price point, and I think that's pretty good, but like $2, this is fantastic. I will say, I think the name Cream Glide feels very appropriate to this. If you're looking for a somewhat stiff lip liner, which tends to be my preference, you might find this like a little too creamy. That being said, I think it's very user-friendly. I think I get a very sharp line. It wears well, nice pigment to these. Like, it feels very luxurious. Also, the name is on the cap. In my video, I was like, oh, they don't put the names on here. What a bummer. You guys let me know that it is right on the cap. It's super teeny tiny. You like definitely need a magnifying glass to read it, but they do put the name on these. I think these are great for $2. High recommendation. Okay, let's talk about this one next. You might have seen this circulating around social media, okay? And if you've seen it, you've probably seen it a lot. Maybe you haven't, but this is the lip liner stain from the brand Sacheu, and I purchased this at Ulta Beauty, and it's actually $12, so I debated if it fit into this video, but these days $12 is a pretty common price for a drugstore product, so I was like, you know what, let's talk about it. I really want to share my thoughts. So I'll preface this with saying I'm wearing it on my lips now, and I don't think it looks amazing, but I do think I'm gonna learn to really love this product, okay? So this is a lip liner stain, and it's actually a peel-off formula. So you apply a very thick layer. It looks super pigmented, like a very deep purple. The shade I have is mauve, and you let it sit for a range of time. They say up to about 20 minutes. The longer you leave it on, the better it's supposed to last. So I try to leave it on closer to 20 minutes, and I will say I do notice a difference in the timeline of removal. If I remove it sooner, it tends to fade, but if I keep it on longer, I get a better wear out of it. So I try to go for about 20 minutes before I peel it off of my lips, and then you're left with a stain. So in theory, great concept. I love a lip liner and I love a lip stain for longevity. So I thought I was really gonna love this. And I do and I don't at the same time. So I'll start with saying I think there's a big learning curve here. It's kind of tricky to apply it because the applicator is like a curved doe foot, similar to like a regular old liquid lipstick. I almost think a point might be more effective, or even a small brush might be easier to draw on the lip line. I've seen people apply this over the full lip, which you definitely can, and just use it as a regular lip stain, but it is designed to be a lip liner stain. You have to apply a relatively thick layer of the product for it to work, because you're not able to peel it off if you're applying in a really thin amount. So that tends to happen around like the corners of your lips, the sides, where naturally it's not gonna go on as thick. And then after you've removed the layer, you'll have some like remnants behind that you're trying to kind of rub off. What I have started doing is just kind of avoiding this area with the product when I apply it, because this area just tends to look bad. I think, you know, oftentimes, especially in winter, this part of the lips tends to be a bit more dry, so that could be a factor here. But it just kind of ends up looking globby and patchy, and the product ends up getting like even deeper in this area, likely because of the dryness, and so then it looks a bit patchy. So that's kind of the issue I've run into with this. That being said, I find that to be a common complaint with a lot of lip stains, that if your lips are not like well hydrated, it can go on a bit patchy. You're either gonna love this or hate this. I definitely don't think it's for everyone. You know, it's been going viral for a while now, and I think there is a use for this, but I also think you could use a more traditional lip liner or lip stain and take maybe a small eyeshadow brush or a lip liner brush and draw it onto your lip line, and then make your own lip liner stain. And I think you'll get better precision with that, and you won't really run into like the darkness here, because that's something I've even noticed on a lot of videos I've seen with people using this. Like, you can see it looking a bit patchy on the lips, even once they've removed it. So I like it. I don't love it. This is it might be right for the right person, but I don't fully get the hype. Okay, new from Essence, we have got the Lash Princess Primer and a brown version of the Lash Princess Mascara. So I'm wearing the brown Lash Princess Mascara currently, and I want to talk about these together and separately, okay? So I'll start with the Lash Princess Primer. I don't really like this. I will preface this by saying I don't know that I'm a lash primer person. In general, I find a lot of them to be more effort than they're worth. But the complaint I have with this, it's a very wet formula. So if you like to curl your lashes, I don't think that you'll like this, because it really deflates the curl immediately because it is so wet. You're not going to get the lift or the hold from this that you're looking for. I also think it can lead to the lashes looking slightly clumpy. Not terrible, not in like spider lashes territory, but it doesn't provide the amount of separation that I like in my lashes. The pro for this is the length. I think you'll notice a pretty good difference with that, but you know, at what cost? I don't think the lashes look nice. I think they end up looking kind of globby with this, you know? I don't think it's going to be the biggest regret of your life, but I don't think it's going to change your mascara routine, okay? That's my thoughts there, but more thoughts to come on these together, okay? So hang tight. But the brown version of Lash Princess, it's funny because when I have been wearing the brown version, I will like look at my lashes and think they feel so much less intense than they do with the regular Lash Princess. And the regular original formula black color of Lash Princess gives good length and good volume. I wouldn't say it's an extreme mascara, but I can definitely notice a difference. And with the brown, I find that my lashes look very natural. And I'm thinking that's partially influenced by the tone in general. A brown mascara is just not going to be as like striking on the eyes. It's not as bold just because it doesn't have the same amount of pigment to it, so it just doesn't look as intense. But I feel like the formula is slightly different. And let me know if you've tried these. Am I nuts? Like, is that true? Maybe it's solely related to the color, but I just don't think my lashes look the same with this as they do with the black Lash Princess. Like, I was expecting it to look the exact same, but brown. No, I think it looks a little bit more subtle, you know, which I don't mind. I like a subtle lash, but I want to be clear about that. If you've always loved Lash Princess and you're like, let me get the brown one, I feel like it applies a little differently. Oh my gosh, I don't think this is going to pick up on the mic, but for Christmas, Tilly got like an animatronic bird that she's obsessed with, and it like flaps its wings and it chirps. And I can hear her in the other room. She just picked it up and she's playing with it. So thoughts on these together. I did side-by-side photos where one eye was just the brown mascara and the other eye was the brown mascara on top of the primer. And funny enough, when I'm looking head on, the side that is just the mascara looks a lot more intense because my lashes stayed lifted a bit better versus the side with the primer. They just went completely straight. So head on, the lashes with the primer actually look much less intense. And then the photo where I'm looking up and you can see the length, I think the side with the primer looks better and the side with just the mascara doesn't look as intense. Super funny, but I think honestly that again might be because the side with just the brown mascara held the curl better, so it's not gonna look as long when you're looking up. You know what I'm saying? That being said, I thought my lashes looked better when I just used this. So once again, I say skip the primer. The mascara is a maybe. If you like a subtle lash, you'll probably like it. More from Essence. These are not brand new, but honestly, I don't like them, so we'll start there. This is called the Matte 8-Hour Liquid Lipstick. Very fascinating to me to see so many brands launching liquid lipsticks. I think a lot of them are a more adapted formula for 2024. They feel a bit different than the liquid lipsticks of like 2015, 2016. Not the case with these. This feels like a 2015, 2016 liquid lipstick, but like slightly more comfortable, you know? A little bit of an upgrade, a little bit less drying, but I think the way it sits on the lips, like, it's weird because it feels comfortable, but it looks crusty, if that makes sense. I don't think my lips feel dry, but it looks like there's a solid layer of lipstick on them, if that makes sense. Like, they don't have movement to them. It just looks like you're wearing a matte 8-hour liquid lipstick, and not really in a good way. Also, 8-hour wear, the wear is pretty good the way most liquid lipsticks wear rather well, but I will say, like any liquid lipstick, it definitely comes off if you're eating any like oily foods. If you were to put like a lip balm over top, like anything that would typically disrupt a liquid lipstick, same thing's gonna happen with these. I wouldn't say the wear time is significantly better than most, especially for that to be like the main claim along the packaging. If you're looking for a drugstore liquid lipstick, I say skip these. Get the NYX soft matte lip creams from like forever ago. Better formula, sit better on the lips, look nicer. I would skip these. I wasn't sure about the Milani cream bronzer at first, but I have really come to love this, okay? So this is the Hey Honey Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer. Oh, no. Hey Honey is the shade that I personally have. This is the Cheek Kiss Bronzer in the shade Hey Honey. Okay, so in the initial video, we found out that this is pretty pigmented, so be careful about how much you're getting on your brush. If you put on too much, the blend is not the easiest. That being said, I think this applies best with a sponge. Funny enough, I rarely would apply a product like this with a sponge, but for this particular product, I say skip the brush, take the butt of a sponge, dip it in, and then apply it to the cheek like that. And I typically just use a dry sponge. So that's what I did today. This is the bronzer I have on currently, and I've been really, there's this hair, but I've been really enjoying this. Now, while this is a good drugstore formula, the price point is incredibly expensive. This is $12.99 and you're not getting a ton of product, all right? So this is 0.21 ounces of product for $13 compared to something like the Sun Melt from Say. Oh my gosh, I can't open this. This is 1 ounce of product for $32. And I get that, like, obviously the upfront cost is very different between the two, but I'm just saying, like, the cost per ounce, the value on the Milani side is definitely not there. To compare it to my favorite drugstore bronzer, which is almost half the price, okay? This is $13, this is $8. This has a little bit more product, 0.24 ounces. So you're getting more product for just over half of the cost of the Milani. So for me, even though this is a good formula, I think this is a better formula and it's $8 and you're getting more product. So depending on whether you feel like you will fully use the product up and whether or not you feel like the cost per ounce is a relevant factor to you, just keep in mind that this is not a good value. Even though the upfront cost is only $13, it's pretty expensive for what you're getting. If you have tried any of these products, let me know your thoughts down below. Which ones do you recommend? But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.